All right, so let's talk now a little more about what the Dodgers have done. And it's interesting because this is a team with back-to-back division titles. Didn't go so far in the playoffs, bring in a new GM, a new president of baseball operations. Boom, tons of changes.
Yeah, they didn't hire Andrew Friedman to sit on his hands, Bob. He turned this into his own version of rotisserie baseball. And this is a smart guy with a lot of thoughts on how the Dodgers could become a better team. Jimmy Rollins, I think that's a smart move. It's a one-year placeholder for Seager, their young shortstop prospect. I thought giving up D. Gordon, a nice player, but they got Howie Kendrick back, so I'm calling that a win, too. I think they overpaid for McCarthy, and I think that McCarthy over Dan Herron, I'm not sure that McCarthy is that much better than Dan Herron. Then you go to Kemp. Kemp is the one that I think is going to define the winter meetings for Friedman, because this guy was one of the best hitters on the Dodgers last year. He was their best offensive player. You look at the numbers that he put up, 287, 25, and 89. I know he's a surly guy. I know that he could be moody. They also gave $32 million. So if I'm the Padres, 5 and 70 plus to get Kemp, I'm taking that.
Total steal for the Padres. You know, now he becomes the face of that franchise, gives him some real star power. Good deal for them. But getting back to what you said about Friedman and the overall changes with the Dodgers, I mean, they look like an entirely new team right now. I didn't even think it was possible to remake a roster that quickly. 10 trades since Friedman has come on board, and it's really going to, I think, really what happened here is that Dodgers saw the Giants in the World Series and figured, this can't happen. We're a better team than San Francisco. How did it happen? We can't let it happen again after 2 straight division titles. So we'll see. I mean, right now it's in a totally different mix. I like it a lot. It's going to be fun to watch them.
And you've mentioned, you know, the fact that Kemp, a little bit surly, was clubhouse thing a problem? Maybe to a certain extent, but maybe Friedman looks at it and says, what kind of people can I bring in outside of Matt Kemp, maybe deal him away, that creates a better culture, that pushes you a little farther into the playoffs?
Right, and I mentioned that because it's part of who Kemp is and it is his personality, but this guy's also a terrific player. He's lost a little defensively. I don't think he's a center fielder anymore, but offensively, what he can mean for San Diego, and another reason why the Dodgers made this trade is they simply have to. They have too many outfielders. But what I looked at is they traded their best offensive outfielder. Puig is also a very good offensive player, but they traded their best guy in the outfield because they simply have to get rid of that glut of players that they had. If Friedman has a long track record of success, but this is one that I'm going to watch closely because not only did they trade Kemp, they traded him to a team that they're going to play 19 times next season. So Matt Kemp has the opportunity to do a lot of damage against the Dodgers.
You know, good point about the clubhouse. I mean, I think Don Mattingly is a terrific manager, a great guy. We all know him personally. But he has the toughest job, I think, in the National League. He's got some real personalities that he's had to deal with. And even though Donnie is a real baseball man, respected by everybody in the game, including in his own clubhouse, I'm not sure that he had the right mix to win. Something had to change. That's why Ramirez is gone. It's why Kemp is gone. He's starting over with some new players. There's some radical change. I'm not sure it all works. I'm not sure all the pieces fit, but something had to give.
I've got to give Tim Brown of Yahoo, a buddy of ours, a pop here because I'm just going to steal this line from him. He said not only will Kemp face the Dodgers that many times with San Diego, but every time he does something against the Dodgers will be paying about 25% of his salary for that day. So that's what the Dodgers are taking the risk in making that trade.
Well, that goes to show you how much they wanted to get rid of him, how much they wanted to affect real culture change in that clubhouse. They're willing to pay to get him out of the room.
By the way, they pay a little bit of money to get rid of him. They're saving a little bit of money. They are trying to bring that payroll down. One of the things that goes hand in hand with that in Kemp is the fact that they wanted to create an outfield spot for Jock Peterson, who's coming in. So now you've got Crawford in left, Peterson, Puig. You've also got Scott Van Slyke that you got to find at bats.
And I like the fact that they're finding a spot for Peterson. Bring up your young players, and that's what Friedman was always about with the Rays. But we're talking about them unleashing some money, getting rid of some payroll. They also gave McCarthy $48 million to be probably a number 4 guy. And they must have liked what they saw out of McCarthy in that half season with the Yankees, because when he was with the Diamondbacks, I mean, this guy was woeful. He found something with the Yankees. He reintroduced the cutter. I think Larry Rothschild did a great job in helping bring him along. But $48 million, good for Brandon McCarthy that he was able to get that.
Jack, there is no doubt that the Dodgers are paying for that cut fastball. And they're willing to pay and pay for 4 years. The Yankees saw something maybe they didn't like. I think it was the health of his shoulder. But McCarthy is a different pitcher with that cutter. He really induces a lot of ground balls. He's got that big, long, complicated delivery that makes hitters uncomfortable. And they think they have found, the Dodgers think that they have found this, you know, this nugget now in McCarthy's cutter, and is worth the risk. 4 years, 48. The Yankees didn't think so.
And maybe at $12 million a year, it's an idea too that it's insurance against Zach Greinke opting out. Maybe they let Greinke go next year, and McCarthy is some kind of substitute for that. In the meantime, different offense up the middle. They've got the veterans, Rollins and Kendrick. really solid guys that can turn to and give you a little pop, and for Rollins, still steal a few bases.
Yeah, and Rollins will give you, as you said, a little bit of power. I mean, he's playing in a different ballpark now in Philadelphia. 17 home runs last year. You could easily see Rollins doing that again if he had stayed in Philadelphia. A little bit different at Dodger Stadium, but again, I like this move. I think he'll be rejuvenated there. And the other thing about Rollins, you look at the way the National League style is played, you have to have guys who can catch the baseball. And even though he's 36 years old, still a very solid defensive shortstop. And I just think Howie Kendrick is one of the more underrated second basemen in baseball. You have this glut of really good second basemen. You start talking about the Robinson Canoes of the world. Howie Kendrick, gap-to-gap hitter, a guy, he's not at, say, Cano's level defensively, but he's very solid. I like both of those moves for the Dodgers.
Kendrick is a better defender than Gordon, so I think there's an upgrade there. And I agree with you on Rollins. He's not a 30 home run hitter like he was a couple of years ago. But I think playing for Mattingly, playing for a contender now with the Dodgers, I think that's a good move up the middle. Now the Dodgers are solid. I mean, it's part of what we're talking about, this overall change to upgrade. In that sense, they definitely have succeeded.